At this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Ross for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. It's an honor to be able to serve this district, and I am very proud of our system. We gather each day to answer three critical questions. First, why do we do this work? Second, how do we accomplish that why? And then third, what are the outcomes of our work? Our vision is that we love and grow our students. Our mission is that we're focused on academic, social, emotional growth and development. And our strategic plan guides our work each and every day to ensure that every student feels loved in our schools and every student has demonstrated academic growth in our schools. We use these 24 strategies that chase these 4 performance goals to show that work. Our state has a strategic plan that by 2030, at least 75% of students will be at or above grade level. That is to ensure that every child graduates college, career, military ready. In School District 5, we are in the growing season towards that aim. If you look at our growth through our, which we do assessments throughout the year using measures of academic progress, you can see 2 years ago where we were in terms of the number of students by this time that were on grade level and off grade level. And to see the amazing work of our teachers and staff throughout the years has been very impressive. If we look at our state assessments, our indicators are up in every category with the exception of the SC Ready ELA, which took a slight decline. But we're working each and every day with our teams, our coaches, to ensure that we're meeting the challenges of the day to have growing season for each indicator. One of the big ones that we do as we prepare our students for college and career readiness is through our graduation report. This has actually been updated where we're at about 74%. Our high schools and graduation coaches are working diligently to ensure that we have a name behind each number and the story behind each name so that we can have our students graduate not only college and career military ready, but ready for the lives ahead of them, their futures which are different than our past. We've set 3 administrative priorities that we would like to work on this year: supporting the classroom through classroom supports, teacher retention and recruitment, and ensuring a safe and productive learning environment for all of our students. As we meet these challenges, it's important to understand that we need funds to do that. And so as our CFO, Ms. Heather Tucker, comes to the podium, I'd like to share just some realities as we close out, or actually final report, our elementary and secondary emergency relief ESSER funds. Will serve as our final report. But as she comes to the lectern, I'd just like to share that if we look at the different ESSER series that we received going back to the response to COVID-19, and you can see the end date of each one of these ESSER programs from ESSER 1, 2, and 3. The end date for all of those funds was September 30 of 2024. That was a total of over $23.3 million that was provided to School District 5. If you average that out over the 3 years, that's $7.7 million extra that we had in our system that as of current, how much do we have, Ms. Tucker? Zero. That has an impact. So we're going to be working very diligently as our realities change moving forward without having this. So at this time, I will turn the presentation over to Ms. Tucker, CFO, to go over the final report for our ESSER series. Ms. Tucker.
Good evening, members of the board, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, new board members, welcome. Just wanted to give you an update and essentially close out our ESSER 3 funds. As Dr. Ross said, this is a total of about $7 million that's been flowing through our district each year for the past few years. ESSER 1 began back in 2022. Those funds were, the final deadline for spending was September 30th of 2022, and we spent all of our ESSER 1 funds, $1.6 million. ESSER 2 funds closed out at September 30th of 2023, and we did have $1,878 that we were not able to spend in ESSER 2 funds. Yep, there we go. Oh. Oh. There we go, ESSER 2. So we did leave $1,878.48 on the table with ESSER 2 funds. That was due to some books that were ordered that did not come in the deadline, and so there was a small amount left there that we were not able to spend. For ESSER 3, we wanted to ensure that that did not happen, that we were able to spend every penny of ESSER 3. And I can say as of the end of October, we have not only spent all of that money, we have received all of these products. The last things that we ordered were Chromebooks and new ViewSonic boards for our teachers. Many of those are actually being installed as we speak. Some teachers have probably already gotten them. And so we were able to spend all of that $15 million and not leave any funds on the table. So at this point, we have finished our ESSER 3 funds. They are all expended, and we will continue reporting to the state and to the federal government as they close out these funds, and will eventually audit us on our spending for ESSER 1, 2, and 3. But just wanted to give you a final update on where we are with ESSER. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Turner? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker, and wanted to talk about our next steps with the bond referendum, a focus on our children and their future. As we move forward, our goal is now to move from the district's plan to the projects of the people. And we're excited about the passage of the bond referendum, excited about these projects. And I wanted to talk a little bit, initial thoughts on next steps in terms of financing the referendum projects, managing the referendum projects, and then rezoning as a result of these projects. So the things that we're going to be working on and have been working on immediately following the certification and referendum is sequencing and bond issuance. We're working with our financial advisor and a bond attorney. The earliest, Ms. Tucker, correct me if I'm wrong, is January issuance for the first tranche. Is that correct?
I think we were looking at a March issuance.
March, I'm sorry.
Yes,
that's
sir.
right. The earliest is a March issuance. We were discussing possibilities if we needed funds in January of what's called a bond anticipation notice. We're not at the stage where we're asking for one yet, but just wanted to, I was already asked, so what are you doing with all that money? And I said, well, we don't have it yet. With a bond issuance in March. However, I do want to make the board aware and the public aware that the board has approved a total of $3.5 million for our 5-year plan. We're using that money now in preparation so that we can get projects moving forward. In terms of managing the referendum projects, I've talked with other districts with successful bond programs, and they have a new advisory that they commit called the CART. And D5 CART is not an oversight committee. I want to be very clear on that. Oversight rests with this body as the board. However, as an advisory, I have multiple advisories that advise the superintendent, Citizens Advisory Review Team that meets with the administration as often as monthly to review the projects, to review our pacing with the administration as well as the operations team. We're going to be asking tonight for assistance with managing the projects and to initiate a solicitation, this is not approval, of a construction management team. A construction management team will help us move through the processes for organizing and preparing these projects as we start that procurement process, and also establishing those critical timelines. As you know, we'll be working in a lot of schools where students and staff are learning and working, And we want to make sure that those timelines are communicated to our citizens, our staff, our students, so that we can plan accordingly. And as well as the rezoning. So there's a lot involved in that, and we're looking at staffing and rezoning-related construction as prioritized in this process. It's important to note that a lot of these processes have already had life lessons and lessons learned, and we've been working with a lot of districts. Meet with one tomorrow that is also within their implementation year of rezoning to learn lessons that would help us in moving forward. I want to make the board aware and the public aware in an effort to increase transparency that we would additionally have for the CART, or the Citizens Advisory Review Team, is a bond referendum dashboard that we like to present when this is ready, to show that all of our projects, the 7 we call them major steps in project delivery. Now, just to be fair to our operations team, procurement has 7 steps. So we don't list every step on the dashboard, but we have major accomplishment steps. So to see all 13 lines of our referendum, the budget that was presented to the public, and then there would be a red light, yellow light, and a green light. Red light indicates that this has not started. Yellow means it's in progress, and green means that has been completed. So the public can go on when the dashboard is up on our bond referendum site, and you can check on the process and the progress of the projects. And so this is just an extra layer to help the community see how these projects are moving forward. So again, they're multi-stepped. So if you see that you're in procurement for a few weeks, that's because procurement process takes about 2-3 months to do. So design is a monthly, and there's 5 steps in design. So just in steps 1 and 2, you can see there's 13 sub-steps. Construction documents that would lead to bidding, permitting, which is a very large process that we have to take, and then construction. The last one I think everyone's excited about is occupancy. That's when it's turned over us and we get the certificate of occupancy, and then closeout. So when all of those turn green, then that way we're finished. We put the final numbers, and then that way we can show the initial budget, where we over budget, under budget, or meet the number. And this is to provide that layer of transparency. Let's review again the bond referendum projects. The projects won't deviate from what we have here. Understanding there is a contingency, that's the last line, if funds remain at the completion of the projects, as to cover practice pavilions at Chapin High School, Dutch Fork High School, and Irmo High School. The delivery, and Ms. Tucker, Mr. Wiseman, correct me if I'm wrong here, the delivery method is design, bid, build for the solicitation, with the exception of 3 projects. Would you mind helping me out with those 3?
It'll be the 2 sets of walls at Harbison West Elementary and Nursery Roads. That would be CM at risk. And the incubator at Irmo High School.
Thank you very much. One of the reasons we would like those delivery methods to be construction manager at risk is due to the complexity of those projects. Those projects will be intimately interwoven into working space with students and staff. Harbison West and Nursery Road renovations were probably going to be the most intensive work that we have. The other issue I want the board to be aware of is the Irmo High School project. Irmo High School is currently under construction. To finish that project and then tear it back down to start again is a waste of our resources. And so what we would like to do is go ahead and look at ways that we can pick up efficiencies with CM at risk at that site. The rest, a lot of these projects will, the rest of them will be design bid build through that process. However, we have to bring these to this body for approval. But we wanted to talk about the delivery method for these projects. Next, I want to briefly go over rezoning. Again, this is the data that we shared during our presentations, our education presentations about the referendum, using the Dutch Fork cluster to relieve the pressure in the Chapin area as we bring 5th grade into Piney Woods, Chapin Elementary, and Lake Murray Elementary schools. And so with that, it brings on this new grade structure and flow chart, creating 5 middle schools. So there won't be any more intermediate schools. There'll be 5 middle schools, grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. We're moving from the current elementary zones to the referendum elementary zones. With this plan, it moves less of the families than the other options as we move 5th grade into Piney Woods, Chapin Elementary, and Lake Murray Elementary. I think it's important to understand our multi-year view. Our goal is to use next year, 25-26 school year, as our transition year to ensure that staffing, programs, and facilities are ready, and implement the rezoning plan on the fall of the 26-27 school year. You notice a red dot of May of this year, this school year, 2025, and that is the date that we are working to notify our staff about the projections, staffing projections for the 26-27 school year. This is important as schools turn from middle school and elementary school certifications to secondary certifications, that we want to give our staff 2 summers to be able to receive necessary certifications if they wanted to remain at a certain school. So we're taking a long view to make sure that the transition is as smooth as possible, using the 25-26 school year as a transition year so that all families and we have meet the teachers, view the new schools, and make the transition as smooth as possible. And then the last thing I would like to share is that it is American Education Week, and the board approved in this year's budget a one-time, I got to say this, I know we've heard questions about our annual bonus. I just want to make this very clear. This is one time. We have been fortunate to give it 3 years in a row, though. But this is a $1,000 payment for American Education Week. It will be in the, I say inboxes, but we don't give live checks anymore.
It will process
Bank
on
accounts, yeah.
Friday.
It will be in their bank accounts on Friday, on November the 22nd. And we are paying the FICA tax on this, correct? So that they will receive as much of that without withholding. So we want to thank the board for this, but more importantly, thank our staff for their hard work and looking forward to recognizing them for American Education Week. Madam Chair, that concludes the superintendent's report, and I stand for any questions.
Ms. Huddle?
I had 2 questions, Dr. Ross. Going back to the Citizens Advisory Review Team is my first question. What qualifications are you looking for, and how can people apply?
So very good question. We're in the initial stages of that. I'm going to be working with some school districts that have some successful ones. I've always known that we've talked about this even in the educational plan, is that if there's ever a need for another referendum, having that transparency is very important. And so we want to talk to, have more conversations with other districts that are having those. I can tell you right now, we're looking at the Beaufort model and working closely with them. And this acts as an advisory and not oversight, but to looking at theirs, they're a larger district than we, but there's a 5-member team, and they have 3 areas of competency that they look at. One is experience with construction and construction management, large projects. 2, they look at finance, someone with a financial background. And very interesting, they looked at someone with public relations or public relations communications background to be able to be a separate wing of explaining that process. We want to look at some other models, bring that back. Our goal is to, before our March review of funds, have something in place.
Thank you. My other,
I want to ask a follow-up question to
Okay.
your question, if you don't mind. Who is going to pick the people for the
So,
committee?
very good. So this would be, we've seen success where this is not a, no offense to the body, but this is not a political arm. This is an advisory of the superintendent. So it would serve just as the administration currently picks its advisories. We would ask, though, that because it's not oversight, I need to be very clear, oversight rests with the board. Advisory is just like our parent advisory that we have, but members of the community. And if so being that the board wanted to hear from them quarterly, that could be made available. So we're seeing models where if it is a subcommittee of the board, then it's really not a advisory, it becomes an oversight. I've seen models where it's really administrative selected, just as a partner in transparency.
my second question was about the rezoning. I believe, I'm aware of 4 large neighborhoods that are all planned in the Chapin area. So I was just wondering, before we actually impact families, is it worthwhile to go look at the potential impact of those new neighborhoods and see if any tweaks may be needed for the rezoning plan?
Dr. Harris?
To answer your question, I certainly think it's a worthy cause to do that and certainly give some response to what our findings might be.
It's our goal to have everything wrapped up and approved so that we can notify, we're looking at that May date, and to not raise the anxieties of our people, get that all polished up and buttoned up so that our staff are best in position. I believe we meet with one district tomorrow who has already done this, and they have already shared as a highlight that transition year, that year 0, 25, 26, is critical, but it takes the early planning on this side. So we'll be able to look in terms of with our workshop opportunities to, like you said, review that data.
Mrs. Barnhart?
On the bond referendum dashboard, I didn't hear you. Is that going to be a separate website of its own or something that's going to be on the D5 website that parents and families can get to from there?
Very good question. Ms. Taylor?
We currently have on the district website a page for the bond referendum that has all the projects listed and so forth, so it will become a part of that page.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Ross.